A literature review is not a summary of all existing research or all that you know about a subject matter. It's an analysis, synthesis, and critical evaluation of literature within your core subject matter, your core topic area of research. Welcome back to Atlas Crossings, and today we're going to be talking about a very crucial part of a research: conducting a literature review. Conducting a good literature review can set the scene, can set the stage for your entire research. Here are 7 factors to take into consideration. Before you start, it's important that you set boundaries, you set the scope for your research. Remember, we've said your literature review is not the place where you're going to provide all existing knowledge or all existing literature about the topic or about the subject matter. It has to be specific and core and relevant to your research topic. One common mistake I see students make is that they take on the literature review as a place to fill in or put in as many words as possible. Say you have a dissertation of 15 or 20,000 words. You see that literature review as the place where you can just keep on putting in words and not considering how relevant the research papers you look at or the textbooks you look at are important or relevant to the core of your research. So it's not just about putting every single thing about a topic within your literature review. It has to be relevant to the core of your topic. Now, this is what can help you. If you're writing a research on, say, the impact of social media on mental health, now that is a broad area to look at. You can look at social media and you can look at mental health. But what you can do to begin to create boundaries is to decide, are you looking at the impact of social media, maybe a specific type of social media, on mental health of, say, older people or younger people? So you can use age as an example, and that helps you to, again, streamline that area. You can think about a region or a context in terms of what you're doing. Would it be within a developing economy, an emerging economy, or a developed economy? Would it be something related to advancements in technology within a specific region or group of people? It might be worth thinking about how you can create boundaries around that research topic itself. The next thing you need to do is to conduct a comprehensive research. Again, that's what a literature review is for. But while you've created your boundaries to think about maybe the context or the age group or maybe the type of mental health, you begin to do a comprehensive research within the subject matter and within the boundaries you've created. And what that does for you is that you can identify how much research has been done within that subject area. It also allows you to, again, further justify your research gap when you chose your topic. Now, we've created a video on choosing the right research topic, and we talked about how important it is to do some level of research at the preliminary stage to understand the gap within the research. Now, your literature review at this point and conducting a comprehensive literature review would mean that you further can justify why you're doing your research. You can further see stronger methodology processes and understand how you can then organize your research work, based on the theme or the methodological processes within that subject area. It's also helpful that while you're doing your comprehensive research, you're also keeping track of all of the relevant literature you have read, which of course will be relevant in your write-up or your writing up stage. So you can use softwares and resources, quite a lot of them there, that can help you with organizing all of the literature you read. I use Mendeley in some cases, and that helps with keeping track of all of the literature you might come across. But again, we'll come back to how you can then begin to identify the credibility of some of those papers you read. As while some of them might be talking about relevant things to your research, they might not be as credible or they might not form a credible reference source for the type of research you're doing. And that takes us to what next to consider, which is evaluating the sources. We need to think about how credible are the research papers that we are, or the papers or the literature that we are actually using or reading or we've seen that seems a bit relevant. Sometimes you will find articles that are quite telling, or quite they look quite relevant to what we are researching on. It would further justify an argument we think is relevant for the subject matter. However, it might not be very credible. You might, need to think about the reputation of the author. So if we are looking at social media, the impact of social media on the mental health of, say, a group of people, are there other articles written by people who are qualified, to do research, who are qualified to actually speak on those subject matters? And what are the sources they've put that literature in? Are they peer-reviewed journal papers? What are the qualities of the journal papers they have been published in, or even the platforms they have been published in? So we need to then begin to think of, the source, the credibility, and streamline them while we do our research. So when you look at these papers, you want to always ask yourself, how recent is the paper or the article you're reading? How up to date is it? Does it address my research question? What is the credibility of that paper? Have they actually spoken based on evidence, or is it based on personal opinion or preference? So it's again assessing all of those based on different levels and different criterias. Another thing for us to consider when we do our comprehensive research, or we look at the literature comprehensively, is we try to identify themes and gaps within the literature. Now, we might find that there might be quite a lot of research that has been done that talks about the negative impact of social media on mental health. We might not have seen, or there might be very few research works that have been done to think about, are there any positive impacts of social media on mental health? Again, is to understand what are the things that are very common within that subject area, and then what are the gaps? Well, there haven't been much done on this other area. Why is that the case? Why is everyone skewed towards trying to find the negative impact of social media or mental health? Are there any positive impacts? Actually, maybe that could be. So our research might need to understand that even though we sit on one side in that research, but there are still quite a lot of, there is a gap with, people not having looked at the positive impact of social media on mental health. And so we're aware, even if that's not where our research is aimed at, but we are very conscious that, that area still remains untapped, or much research hasn't been done in that area anyways. Organize the literature, organize the review you've done, and you can do this chronologically, you can do this based on themes, or you can do this methodologically. Now it all depends on how best you feel that that process could be done within the research area and research topic. But it's always important to allow your literature review flow. Your literature review can be talking about several areas within knowledge that is already known, or knowledge that you feel there are gaps, or around it. So it's important that the reader can flow through your literature review in a very clear and helpful way, and it's not a disjointed point of discussion. Remember, again, the literature review is not a descriptive space. It has to be a section that is very critical. You are critical in the way you write, and again, your academic writing style can significantly help with how your literature review flows, and the ability to communicate um, clearly and effectively with your reader and connect with your reader the way you write. So think about that. Something that can help is that you can structure your work by providing an introduction as to, the area of the literature review is covering, and then you can go on with to structure it to have the body in your structure, and that body is, it can be themed or in a chronological way or in a methodological way, and as a conclusion that summarizes or highlights the different key points you've made within the literature review. Of course, there will be several subheadings, headings and subheadings within the literature review, and that could be based on different areas and different arguments and different points. But also bearing in mind that the way you write, the way you organize your work can also make a difference with understanding and communicating with your reader. And something linked to organizing your work is writing critically and in a very coherent way. And your entire work generally in your dissertation or in your research should be very critical, whether the way you critically evaluate the papers you use, the way you critically evaluate knowledge, the way you present it also has to be critical. Best way to write is always being concise and clear, using simple terms, avoid jargons. If there are any jargon terms, you're also explaining them and simplifying them for any type of reader to be able to understand what you're writing about. Proper citation is crucial in academic writing. Your research being an academic work, you have to provide citations, in-text references, and of course your reference section. Make sure you cite all of your references correctly using a standard academic referencing style. It could be APA, it could be Harvard, but it being consistent with whichever one you choose. And that has to be consistent across the research work. Providing a citation or reference is not just only about giving credit to the original author, but it also provides credibility and strengthens the arguments that you make within the work. So while you're being critical, you're comparing and contrasting, your references and providing different perspectives increases the credibility and strengthens the arguments you make within the work. And that is that for writing a solid literature review. And always thank you for watching Atlas Crossings, and don't forget to continue to show up.